What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Season Gaming Bitcast, episode 331. It is another fine Sunday, and we are here with 2.5 people this morning to talk to you about all sorts of topics. We're a little late for our live audience this morning. I apologize. Travis is having mic issues, so instead of the fabulous Shure 7B, he is now coming to us from AirPods. So we're going to apologize in advance for his audio, and to our audio listeners, apologies on that piece. Travis, what the hell's going on over there?
I don't know. I just turned into a fish for a little bit. I'm doing all right, man. I don't know. I got this big expensive mic and it doesn't seem to work. And I think I need to replace the XLR cable. I think that's the move, the strat, the play, the thing to do.
There you go.
We really were trying to get his audio working. We know it's important for you all to hear from Travis.
Thanks, man.
And
okay, how you doing? You're looking good. You've been working out. What's going on with you?
I was gonna say you had the whole pre-show to make these comments, but you really didn't. You were completely silent on your end.
Yeah, so I didn't get to tell you how good you look, baby. How you doing?
I appreciate it, Travis. I thought that I really had to start earning those AI pictures. And I thought I should look a little bit better for the show.
Well, dude, it's been working, dude. You're killing it.
And joining us, as always, is the lawman himself, Mr. Hoaglaw. How we doing, sir?
I'm doing okay. I'm excited about this show. I'm ready to talk about some of my favorite gaming experiences of the year. It's Selection Sunday. I know you're not necessarily sports fans, either hosting this show or watching it. But this is one of my favorite sporting events of the year, March Madness. So I'm excited about the whole thing.
I am happy for you. It sounded sarcastic. It really wasn't meant to be. I am the complete opposite end. I despise March Madness, but that's fine. I know I am in the minority. Many, many people I know love it. So I did hear it is Selection Sunday. I was asking my team on Friday at work, I was like, what does that mean? Because I really don't follow basketball at all. And they said, I believe it's 64 teams plus another 4 or something, 68
It is 68 teams, and the NCAA selects who is going where, what cities, and what seeding they have, so that they select essentially who's playing who for the next 3 weeks. One of the reasons I love this sporting event so much is because the first Thursday and Friday of the tournament usually corresponds to halfway decent weather here in Michigan. So it's always kind of the marker of you survived winter. You can open some windows. You can get some cross breeze in your space. And that's always been a really nice feeling. So March Madness is one of my favorite events.
I also celebrate March Madness. 11 months out of the year, I keep my demons at bay. But during March, I let all of my insanity creep in. I'm going to spend the full month in full-blown psychosis. Just get it out of the system.
It's like a werewolf for 1 month.
Yeah. Just bouncing off the walls for a month. Awesome, dude. Sweet.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's cool, though. There's one of the guys that works for me is a University of Florida alumni, so he's big on the Gators. And then another guy I work with actually travels around the country during the tournament to see teams at different stadiums. He's just that into it, so I know people love it. So cool. Well, and I live in 20 minutes away from KU, which is always a big thing here, obviously. So, yeah. Anyway, we got some games to talk about today. So we've got some games, we got some rumors, we got some other things to talk about. So we'll go through kind of what we're playing, of course. We've got new Xbox hardware rumors is kind of our cover topic, and that's from our friend Jez over at Windows Central, kind of sharing some stuff that I'm sure people aren't too happy that he was sharing about the Xbox hardware that's coming down the line. We've got Saudi Arabia's sovereign wealth fund buying out Niantic for a crazy amount of money, and Pokemon Go. We got a new Silent Hill, which looks awesome if you're a horror fan, and Ubisoft is still doing Ubisofty things. So we'll talk about all that stuff, of course. Before we do that, we got a couple things to get to here. So we've got a couple. We got our Googleman super chat to kick us off.
Googleman81, 10 euros. He writes, watched a Split Fiction playthrough, and there was this "what the heck did I just witness" moment. Turned out to be the Death Stranding 2 trailer. Googleman, you gotta read the video title, my dude.
I like to think an ad just popped up and it turned out to be the trailer. But what a trailer. I don't even know if that's on the list of our rundown today, but the Death Stranding 2 trailer, if y'all haven't seen it and you're remotely interested in Hideo Kojima weirdness, this is a trailer you cannot miss. It is crazy.
Very cool. I've not seen it.
Well, I think people know I'm excited about Death Stranding 2. I really love Death Stranding 1. His brand of weirdness is my brand of weirdness. This trailer is insane. I halfway think that Hideo Kojima makes video games at all so that he can make trailers like the one that he released this past week. So
yeah, because the trailer is something you watch, so that checks out.
I will accept your snide comments because I am still very excited about the product at the end of the day. So
100%.
Go watch the trailer. Maybe not this second. You're here with us right now, but go watch it when we're done. You won't regret it.
Yeah. There's a lot of the community I speak with, the people I interact with were super hyped for this. It's actually a shame, funny enough, that Dan's not here because Dan adored Death Stranding, the first one, and I'm sure he's hyped about the second one. But I don't think Travis, while we're on the topic, actually, are you interested in Death Stranding 2? I know you and I were kind of the negative ones on DS1, but
Yeah, I'll play it. I played the first one. Thought it was pretty boring, but I'll play a sequel. Why not? Let's try it.
Fair enough. All right, Googleman, thank you as always, my friend. Good to have you. Alex is here.
Alejandro Segovia has been a member for 11 months, and he writes, "Good morning, sirs, and Travis!" Exclamation point. Down to the wire with AC Shadows. See ya with the review on Tuesday at noon, right here on SG Sword.
SG Sword. That's actually our official site name. SG Sword.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, he has been grinding away. So I think anyone who knows how we do reviews here at SG, the time gets put in, and Alex is one of those regulars that puts in a lot of hours to get these things done, what we would call properly. So stay tuned for that for sure. Alex, thank you, my friend. All right, we also have Tides Picks this week with a theme of, someone tell me what the theme is, because I'm not sure.
Let's see.
I actually don't know. I don't know this. What is it? We're paragliding?
We are.
Was that it? No, he's in a plane.
Well, I'm like in a little paraglider. Hogue is in a parachute that's clearly not big enough for him. Travis, you look safe at least.
I look very calm. I didn't think I would look this calm in a parachute. And my hair is like completely fine. I mean, that's the real. I mean, Hogue and Ames, obviously, we don't know what's going on with your hair in this photo, but Hogue and
I have my earmuffs though. That's all that matters.
Yeah, we got that. You're cold up there. You're dressed for warmth. But our hair is like flawlessly like fine in this photo. It seems a little strange.
Sure.
Oh, do you ever wear brown jackets? Why are you in like brown, like Indiana Jones jackets in half of these photos? It's so weird. You're always wearing them. It's like, where did they get that from? I've never.
And why is his jaw so chiseled?
I mean, that's always the case. But I've noticed the professorial like brown jacket look that they seem to give him a lot. I'm like, where are they getting that from? Also, I'm not wearing a tie in this, which I think is just a mistake from the AI.
It could be under the vest.
Yeah,
it could be.
You also look like you're like 16.
Yeah, just like in real life. I'm youthful. Get with it, bro.
Yeah, I can't, man. I'm well past that point.
It does look, with your direct to camera and the arms there, that you're like holding it up and you're doing like an Instagram or a TikTok from your parachuting.
Yeah, with my colored goggles. Mm-hmm. Super cool. I'm a cool dude. Yep. I think is the point here. We're all very cool and we fly. I do not understand why they chose this one this week, but I'm into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably something we mentioned last week because it doesn't appear to line up with a game.
All right, you guys ready for a lore dump?
Sure.
Let's do it. Thank you, Tide.
Here's the lore dump. It's related to that photo. Have you guys ever gone skydiving or done something dangerous of the sort? And if not, why? Ames.
Dangerous of the sort?
Yeah, like bungee jumping or driving a motorcycle over the Grand Canyon. I don't know, something like that.
No, I hate heights. So I despise anything like that. I did. Nice. I've done a lot of speed-related things. Obviously,
that's right.
So
that's pretty dangerous.
I've been near 200 miles an hour in a car.
There you go.
which is insanely fast when you're actually going that fast.
That'll
But
blow your
no,
hair
heights
back.
or off entirely. But yeah, no heights for me. Thank you. I did take my son. My son jumped out of a plane last year for his birthday.
Oh, very cool. Oh,
Skydiving.
what's
Yeah.
the most dangerous thing you've done?
I honestly don't know.
Really?
I don't really seek out danger.
He's like, I walked out of the house last week.
Let's see. What type of hobbies do people have that are dangerous? I'm trying to think.
Car
No,
racing.
I'm
That's
also
mine.
not a danger boy. I feel like we have three pretty risk averse folks here. I definitely would not skydive. I'm just like, I just don't think the what you get out of it versus risk ratio is way off for me. I just don't think I would think I would land and be like, if I skydive, I'd like land on the ground and I'd be like, that was not worth it. Why did we do that? So I don't think I'm gonna do it.
My
Yeah, I
son,
think I'm
he was very big on doing it, like really wanted to do
Mhm.
it. So we did it for his birthday, and then afterwards, I was like, "Oh, you want to do that again?" He's like, "No," and I was like, "Why?"
Uh,
He's like, the fall was fine. He's like, but it's so uncomfortable, like in the suit. He's like, you're packed in this plane, like shoulder to
yeah,
shoulder. He goes, and it's just, he's like, the whole thing was just
yeah,
uncomfortable. And he said the actual falling part was like super fast. So he's like,
yeah. It
he's
lasts like
like,
40 seconds. You have to have a dude strapped to you. It just doesn't seem worth it. I don't know. I don't think I'd like that.
yeah.
What's the most dangerous thing I've done? Grew up in the hood. That was pretty dangerous. That's really all I can think of. I was a pizza delivery guy in Oakland. That was pretty scary.
Yeah, that was
Pretty,
a poor choice of vocation.
yeah, yeah. Well, when you're 18, you got to do what you got to do. But yeah, I don't
That's
know.
true.
I've kind of passively exposed myself to danger accidentally, but that's all I've got. That's the best I've got. But hey, there's your lore dump. We're all very risk averse dorks. Pretty cool. Pretty cool.
I
That's
hope
fun to know.
I hope that proved to be a surprise to everybody watching and listening.
Hey, I'll give it to Ames though. I think driving really fast cars is kind of
Car
a
racing is
daredevil
risky.
thing.
Yeah, I've
It's
seen some
daredevil, yeah,
pretty gnarly stuff.
yeah,
But yeah, jumping out of a plane, no. Oh, we built the planes to go in the air, not to jump out of them. Like, no, I'm good.
right, yeah.
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 All
You're
right.
doing it wrong, says
Yeah.
Ames.
Why don't we get to some games over here? So I'm gonna hand off to Hogue first here because I know that I'm still tied up on the stuff I've talked about before. Travis, there's a lot of games right now for coverage going on across places that can't be talked about. So we'll be able to talk, I think, a lot more next week about some new games. But Hogue has a comment around Split Fiction that he has finished it, and he wants to argue, and we're going to hear your case here, Hogue, so prepare yourself, that it's one of the best games ever made.
I think it is. I do. I've almost made a video of this on my channel because I think Split Fiction is, if anything, underrated for what it is. And I said this last week that I was really enjoying it, and I was surprised at some of the knocks on this particular game. But having finished it now, and it's rare for me to finish games, especially this quick after release, as you know, the last bit of gaming in this particular game is so crazy that I want to double down on the fact that I think Split Fiction might be one of the best gaming experiences that I personally have ever had, and it wouldn't surprise me if many have ever had. It has all of the great gameplay of last year's Game of the Year award winner, Astrobot. It has great performance. It has great ingenuity. It has great characters and plot. And I say that not as it's a Final Fantasy or it's Kingdom Come Deliverance. It's not trying to be. It's very simple, but it hits the beats it needs to hit. And it's much more palatable to me personally, and I think to most people, than the Book of Love and the quasi always pending divorce banter of It Takes Two. So I think it's an improvement on that Game of the Year. It plays as well as last year's Game of the Year, and it had absolutely no hang-ups or hiccups or technical faults. None of its ideas outstayed their welcome, and it's hard to talk with specificity about a lot of those ideas because I think part of the fun here is that it's always changing what it's doing, and you're always interested in finding out what's next in this game. So I really don't want to give a lot of examples as to what even happens, But every single minute, every single shift in gameplay was fantastic. The only thing that counts as a blocker for me is that you do need to play it with another person. And that usually isn't too hard to find. It usually isn't too much of a blocker. But sometimes, as I think you know, you just want to play a video game, and maybe it's not something that works out for somebody else around you at that point. They're not interested at that moment, or it's not a time conducive to having friends over or what have you. That I just want to play Split Fiction at 2 a.m. isn't going to work. But I really think the game is fantastic, and I'm interested in you two getting further in it, perhaps beating it eventually, because I think it is one of the best things I've ever seen.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Nice.
I'm hoping to start it this week. I'm gonna see. So you played it with your daughter, Hope?
I did. I played it with my teenage daughter.
I don't know how competent she is at games, but my wife doesn't game much. She used to, so she can, she's okay controlling things. But I've heard that some of the complexity and some of the levels can be a little more than It Takes Two. Is that fair?
Yes, I think actually proceeding through any given area, any given level of this game is a little bit more complicated than It Takes Two. It's a little bit harder. You're going to die a little bit more. But the checkpoints are very generous. They're even very generous in the middle of boss fights. Like, you get to keep your progress, however far you made it, in most circumstances. And so I think it's very forgiving that way. You are going to have a certain amount of patience, both with your own skills and the skills of your partner, because it requires some acuity from both of you a lot of the time. And that's going to bug some people. But I really do think they did their best with being generous with checkpoints and keeping progress, even if you die.
Are there difficulty levels?
I'm trying to remember if there are. I don't think so. I think it's new or continue game and then select your character. But I really my daughter is very good at video games, but she's also a teenager, and so I would have expected some of the patience needing to drive her up the wall a little bit more than it did. And I think the reason it didn't is because it always feels like you're progressing even if you die. And because just like It Takes Two, the real trigger for death is that you both have to die at the same time. You can alternate deaths, and if you can get that rhythm, that can be part of your communication structure. Is this is hard for me. I'm going to die right here, and you keep going. Keep us alive. Don't try to hit the boss. Just stay alive, and have that communication works as part of the gameplay. So it is a little bit trickier than It Takes Two, but I think it's very fair in that.
Okay. Yeah, Silkenet says there's a couple of accessibility features to reduce the difficulty that you can set per character. So, okay. I'm just curious. I really want to play it. I'm hoping my wife can do that. So we'll see. Eric says Split Fiction could be a case study on how impeccable game direction can elevate a project.
I think so. I think part of what makes this game really work is it has a clear vision for what it wants to be. And I don't know whether that's Joseph Fares on his own. I don't know whether that's other parts of the creative collective at Hazelight. But whatever it is, this game company has it. And they know what they're doing. And they have even corrected some of the things that I didn't like so much in It Takes Two, which was a great game. But Split Fiction is, in my opinion, better. So check it out.
Very awesome. Yeah, super excited to play it more. Are you and D playing it, Travis?
Oh yeah. We're not very far because I'm extremely busy for the next 2 weeks with other games. But yeah, we're gonna be working our way through this. We will definitely beat it. We beat It Takes Two and A Way Out and all the other games from this developer together. So we also just like couch co-op games, especially if they have to be played by 2 players. Those are fun and they don't happen often enough.
Yeah, that's very cool. Very cool. Yeah, Proxicus, what's up, Proxicus? One of our regulars said, my son and I finished it last night. It's fantastic. I'd say it has come out level with It Takes Two for him. So,
fair
fantastic.
Enough. It does feel very similar, but I mean, this studio has like gotten better with every game. So I'm very impressed with them.
Yeah, it's fun to watch from A Way Out through Split Fiction because you can see them refining their idea.
Mm-hmm. And I saw it has already surpassed 2 million sold, which is great. Another successful game for them. So you just love to see, like, think whatever you want to think of Joseph Fares, but there's a clear passion there for gaming, the industry, and it's cool to see these types of projects succeed be excellent in terms of game and financial success. You know what I mean? And it seems to all work, which is what we like to see. So
You can feel it in Split Fiction. You can feel passion for games, game design, storytelling, writing. You can feel it all in this game, and that's the best feeling. So
awesome.
Anybody that's remotely interested in it should check it out.
Awesome. Eric said, my 8-year-old daughter is not, I'm going to switch that to, is not good at video games, but she was able to learn how to overcome every obstacle so far. It's been the best experience seeing her tap into her passed down gamer DNA. That's awesome. Love it.
Yeah, it is pretty funny. And this has happened before Split Fiction, so I'm not used to this. But it is pretty funny to watch my daughters fly past something that I'm having trouble with. And they do it regularly.
Nice. That's good. Awesome. Real quick update on our lore dump topic about living dangerously. We do have an update from Mrs. Hogue, who said the most dangerous thing that he ever did was marry her. So
fair enough. He is an assassin, an international assassin.
So not true. I think everybody knows now she saved my life. But I appreciate the self-deprecation, honey. I love you.
You saved your life, but first she imperiled it. So, just so she could take credit. It's all part of her long con.
It was all one big plan. That's it.
Right.
Yep.
A femme fatale.
I'm just going to mention a game I've mentioned before. I don't know how much our audience, I know you guys aren't interested in it, but competitive space. So talking about multiplayer game, The Finals. I've talked about this game before. I've done previews, commentary on it. So they're wrapping up. Bunch. Okay. All right. We should play sometime because it is awesome. It's one of those games. Yeah, fortunately, it seems to be doing well. It has a steady community. And season 5 is wrapping up is the reason I mentioned it. They've been previewing season 6, which launches Thursday, over a week. So they have revealed a bunch of stuff for season 6 already. And it is what I'm really impressed about this game. If you haven't checked it out and you like multiplayer first-person shooters, especially ones that are competitive and have a lot of outplayability, skill gap type thing, you got to check this game out. It is just, honestly, I think it's on another level than nearly every other shooter out there. This team is super talented. It's super smooth. Like, everything is polished well. There's so many different mechanics, and like the chaos that just ensues in this game and the things you can pull off as a player. Like, Eric and I were playing it quite a bit this week, just taking clips left and right. Cause it's like, did you see what the hell just happened? Like, it's just things happen in this game that quite literally do not happen in any other shooter. And it's just super impressive. And I wish all the best to that team at Mark Studios. They're putting a ton of effort and, just talent behind that game. And you can see it. Just a reminder that these were some of the old school Battlefield devs that went off and started this studio. And this is their game. And they're also entering into full competitive. They're doing their first $100,000 esports tournament for the finals. So there's just a lot going on with the game.
It's becoming the real game show in the game.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's just it. And I was playing it on the PS5 Pro the other day. They already have pro support, has cross play, full cross progression. I just logged in on PS5. All my stuff was there from my Xbox Play. And it's fantastic. Like, I can't say enough good things about it. And I hope that more people check it out because it's fabulous.
Yeah, I will add my own voice to the compliments. That is a very good shooter with a way too scarcely used environmental destruction mechanics, and people get really creative with the gadgets in that game and blowing through walls and destroying the floor that you're on so that you fall through to the next area and all that stuff. And it's just a really good time, and also has a very cool theme of like death game show that adds, I think, a lot of like levity to the game that you don't get in other shooters. I think.
Yeah, like a modern Smash TV type thing. Like, it's got that.
Yeah, exactly. You shoot somebody, and a bunch of money flies out of them, and all that stuff. It's just goofy and fun and super cool. I wish I had more time for that game, but that is one of the better online shooters I've played. Actually, I've never played with the crew, Ains. I always just solo queue in that. So
yeah, you got to play
on mic. Yeah.
Yeah, they've added a lot of modes. So, there's now they have ranked obviously, but then they have what's called World Tour, which is like a weekly thing, and you get like sponsor level ups, and it rotates maps and gameplay styles and stuff every week. It's really cool. It has each season rank. And then it has like platform shift, which is kind of like more Overwatchy a little bit. It's like moving a platform back and forth like a tug of war. That's 5-on-5. But then it has all these other modes that are really squads of 3. And it's got like this tiered ranking system as you play through, and it's just really, really, they've developed it. It was good at launch, but it needed more, and they've really kind of expanded it over the past year because they celebrated their year anniversary, I think, early in the year or late in 2024, and it's just become something truly special. So yeah, I hope more people play it. It's fantastic. So
good game.
Yeah. The only other thing I've been playing, guys, is Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. So I'm not going to talk more about that. I'll continue to just sing its praises. I did a side quest this week that was like hours and hours long. And I was telling Hogue before the show that I was save scumming just to experiment with different things you can do, And the different ways you could do this and the variety of the outcomes were just crazy. Like, I don't know how much testing went into this game. These types of games where you can do things in like a bunch of different ways, like the amount of testing that has to be done to make sure this stuff works and functions with the quest design and the story and the characters. And it's ridiculously impressive.
Yeah, I had
to it.
Yeah, I wish again I had to stop playing this because I have other stuff to work on. But like, to your point, like the quests doing weird stuff. I had this one thing where it was like part of a main quest. These guys were like, "Hey, you need to come help us with this task," and I was like getting ready to do that. And then they go, "Okay, are you ready to go? If you have anything to take care of, like take care of it now." And so I was like, "Oh, okay." I'll leave for like 4 days and just go on a wild, like a number of side quests
on a bender.
Yeah, and then I came back and I was like, "All right, guys, I'm ready." And they were like, "What are you talking about? You disappeared. We did that quest on our own. Like, you're stupid.
Yeah.
Like, where were you?" And I was just like, "Oh my god! Like, I've got to reload these 4 days because I totally missed this quest. They just went without me." So it's like, he meant, "Do you need to go take a piss?" I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna go. Oh yeah, I'll take care of my business like I do in other games." He was like, "Dude, I meant like, do you need to, tie your shoe or whatever? What the hell? You're gone.
Tie your shoe."
Yeah, I just thought that was funny. I thought it was funny that they just went and did the quest without me and then told me about it. And I was just like, "Oh man, that sucks."
I wonder if it's the same one or a different one, because I had the same thing. Like, you're with Hans, and Hans is like, "Oh, like you have to, at one point you have to get ready to leave with him to go back somewhere, right?" And I did the same thing as you. Oh, see, this is a different one, but I did the same thing as you.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm going to go in the woods and explore a bit. And literally, I'm like in the middle of the woods. It pops up. Hans is left without you. You know what I mean? Like, you come back, he's gone. The whole quest changes. And I'm like, this is crazy.
Yeah, no, it was not that. It was the one where you're in Samine and you have to go find the bandits. Like, you're getting ready with the gnarly, the captain guard or whatever. Yeah, and they're like, "Hey, we're gonna go head out to hunt these bandits. If you have anything to take care of it now." And I took that as like,
normal video game.
Normal video game logic of like, all right, I'll just fuck off for 8 days and just go do a bunch of crazy stuff. Come back and they're like, "What the hell, dude? Where'd you go?" I was like, "What? No." Yeah, it was very funny.
Yeah,
I think that's the one time I've reloaded and tried over, was during that quest.
I was gonna say that's a pretty chill experience. You didn't miss much, but hey.
Yeah, well, it wasn't a crazy quest, but I am glad I saw it because I would not have interacted with those two characters, and I feel like that's the only time you get to before you have to make big decisions. But I know what part you're talking about.
Section.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, Ains, and I made a very startling discovery very early on in that trip where you're with Hans and he leaves without you. I left with Hans and I was like, dude, the thing I discovered is crazy.
No, I did the same. Yeah. But I love how so you can completely not do that. You know what I mean? Like, it's completely.
I assumed as much. I talked to the guy that like they make it very hard to talk to, just because I'm a thief, and I was like, "Oh, I bet you I could break in here and steal some stuff."
Me
and
too.
Instead, I was like, "Oh no, this is way worse." Yeah, it was like very funny.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil anything, obviously, but the one I was talking about this week was like I had to recover some stuff for. So, like, here's how dynamic this is, right? I'm riding to a new city, just ride my horse. Dude tries to rob me, and I'm like, I get down, and it's very clear, like he's by himself and stuff. So I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Because at this point, I'm pretty strong. I've got like very high speech, and everything. And he tells me his story, and it's like, turns out this whole other. It opens up this whole huge quest line out of nowhere, right? So then I have to get his stuff back, and I'm like, okay, I can go kill these people, I can go steal it, whatever. And I'm just like trying all these different things, and like I stumbled upon his stuff. Like I lockpicked the chest and took it, but when I took it, it said failed the quest to do this other direction the quest could take, where I have to like deal with this other guy and do this whole other thing, and it's just nuts. So then I saved scum there, right? Came back out, talked to the guy the other direction, and it turned into this whole multi-hour thing, and I'm just like, this is crazy, man. No wonder they spent years making this game, because it's the quest design is just it's some of the best I've ever seen, quite literally.
It's very good. Yeah,
no, it's fantastic. There's no question. It is an evolution up even from things like The Witcher 3, and in a world that is significantly more dynamic. So it is a fantastic game.
It's it's bonkers. I can't say enough good things about it. It's if it continues this way, which I see no reason it won't, right, for the rest of the game, it will be in like probably my greatest games of all time. Like this is climbing up there pretty fast.
Yeah,
it's nuts. So anyway, enough about that.
For my part, I as you guys know, there's not a lot I can talk about for the next couple weeks, but I do want to give a shout out to this upcoming week being GDC week, my favorite week of the year in the games industry. I'm going to be right around SF downtown, playing games and stuff. And right now I'm doing a review. I'm in like the final hours of playing a game that I'm going to write a review of. I've done a couple previews this week that I can talk about later. And next week I'm going to be doing a whole bunch of stuff. So I'll have a lot to talk about in like maybe a week or 2 weeks, 3 weeks, something like that. And I'm very excited to do that. So, I don't know if there's anything for normal folks to do during GDC. You could watch
normies.
You could watch like developer stuff. I don't know. It's a very different experience.
They released the videos like months after GDC.
Oh, okay. I did not know that.
But they're pretty interesting to watch if you have any inclination towards the more technical pursuits of making a video game.
I think that stuff is really interesting. But it's sort of I don't even really watch the talks. I just like meet in hotel rooms and stuff. It's like very different experience. But yeah, I have a lot. I'm so excited to talk about, but I can't. But that's what I've been doing, and it's what I'll be busy with like all next week and probably the week after. And so I'm doing stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, from what I understand, because I did talk to a couple PR people about GDC who asked me if I was going, and sadly I told you, I just can't. But from what I've heard, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, Travis, but what they told me is GDC is kind of becoming that next show that's not just like developers and the tech, right? Because that's what it kind of started as, right? But it's becoming like additional PR work, additional game announcements. Like it's turning into this other thing.
It is effectively E3 for like the industry, because the thing that like consumers think of when they think of E3 is they think of the big shows and the game announcements and all that. But the thing that was actually the most important part of E3, which I'm sure you'll know, Ains, as somebody who went, is like the behind the scenes meetings where people in media get to see games early and they get to talk, and developers connect and they share secrets. And there was like this whole behind the scenes part of E3 that was so valuable to the industry, and it kind of disappeared for a few years after E3, and GDC has like completely replaced that. Like now that's when I do all my big appointments every year. It's where we have like all of our meetings and we figure out like what games are coming out that IGN could make their IGN first games, and like there's developers talk and people make their next career moves, and they form studios. I was, talking to somebody who said that they met up with somebody else at a different studio and then decided to go and join their own studio at GDC, start their own studio. Stuff like that happens. And I think if you don't have a space where like all of the different pieces of the industry can come together and just like communicate in person and like go to happy hours together and like all that fun stuff, it's really detrimental to the industry. And so I'm so glad that it's back, and it happens to now be in the city in which I live, which is super cool. And so yeah, this has like become my favorite week of the year. And so yeah, I'm very excited to hang out all week with folks. And I'll
Awesome.
tell you all about it in a couple weeks, I promise.
I can tell you, I've got a few clients going out to California this coming week.
Nice.
I did warn them about talking with Travis, but other than that, they're going out there.
If you
They
see
don't
a
have
guy
a
wearing a
choice.
tie, avoid him at all
have to
costs.
talk to me. They have to talk to me.
If you see a 13-year-old kid wearing a tie, you know not to talk to him.
That's right. That's me. 13 years old, youthful.
Yes. Hogue.
Yeah.
Where's our Hogue's notes? I know you got them.
I've got a couple of Hogue's notes. I think one of which you guys reviewed at Season Gaming this past week. I played Wanderstop.
Yes.
Very good
which
game.
I personally would classify as good, but not great.
Oh.
I like this game a lot. It is certainly more polished than other games in the indie space. For those that don't know anything about this game, the basic premise is that you are a character that was trying to be the best that ever was in fighting people, had some failures, and is now in a magical forest making tea for other characters. And some of the writing is very on the nose. A lot of indie games like to get into kind of psychology or philosophy, and this one in particular is very interested with dissecting kind of perfectionism and that accomplishment-seeking behavior and what happens when you fail in seeking your accomplishments. And honestly, this one hits close to home for me. This is part of what I have spent a couple of years in therapy talking about with respect to everything that happened with me in the hospital and how my life went the direction it did, et cetera, et cetera. So I think it's very effective there. I think it's important, some of the things that they are saying. But the actual gameplay, the actual game here of collecting tea leaves and having them dry and making teas with different plant life is maybe not as engaging as it should be. And I think if I had to bet, the philosophy behind the making of this game, based on everything that's actually going into the writing and the story, was that you are supposed to be having something of a mindfulness task in and of itself in playing this game, that you're not really supposed to be thinking so much about filling bars or gamification, if you will. But it gets into this unhappy valley, if you will, of having to think about things enough that you're actually playing a game, but none of those things actually rising to the level of being all that engaging. The making tea process and getting tea for characters is roughly equivalent to like the cooking mini game in Pirate Yakuza. And that's not enough for me as a game. But the characters are well written. The stuff that they're talking about with respect to psychology and depression and anxiety, I think is well written and important. But I don't think the game is either as kind of mindfulness making as it could be, with like a little bit less engagement, or is it as fulfilling as it could be if it had a little bit more engagement. So it winds up in this unhappy place for me. So I think Wanderstop is good, but it's not great.
Okay. So yeah, our reviewer Lewis adored this game. He gave it a very high score. I think it's in the low 8s, maybe, like on average. And this is on our chat saying she loved it. So yeah, it seems to be quite positive. I know that this was a game that it was from Dave Weedy, is it? Who did? God, I'm blanking right now.
Stanley
Parable. Thank you very much. Yeah. So. Seems to, he's appreciated the response to it. He's been posting on Blue Sky about it and stuff. So pretty cool.
He's a good writer. He's a good writer that comes through with the characters. They're all interesting. Like I said, they're attacking kind of notions of anxiety and doubt and depression from different angles with these different characters. And some of it is a lot on the nose. But I think it's very effective writing. I think it's good. It's better than other attempts I have seen in the indie space to talk about these issues. But I don't think the game actually gets to where it needs to be something that you're doing between these interesting conversations.
I got you. The game itself. Okay. All right.
I've been watching my wife play this one, and she seems to be enjoying it. I do agree the subject matter is pretty heavy for a cozy game, which gives it a kind of like very unique vibe to it. It's like cozy, but not cozy. And But yeah, I think for the audience of people who like play cozy games, I think there's a certain level of like the gameplay is chill and you're there for the story and the stuff around it. And so, yeah, you know, I have not played this one myself, but I've been watching her play it, and it seems pretty good.
Yeah, no,
I have friends who really like it too.
I think it is a good game. Like I said last year, you might remember this when, especially, I was going through a lot of the stuff that I was dealing with. That I was really enjoying a game called Endless Ocean on the Nintendo. And I was talking to my therapist about why it was so effective for me when I was dealing with anxiety after my stroke. And we talked about mindfulness and the nature of that game being essentially so automatic, so peaceful, and so kind of not engaging in an important way that it worked to clear your brain. It worked to relax you. It worked to be mindful in the way that it was for me. This one is a little bit more needy in terms of thinking about what you're doing and resource management and allocation and executive function and all these things they would say in therapy. And so that's why I think it winds up a little bit off. The subject matter is well handled. The characters are well handled. And honestly, surprisingly, character interactions that you have and places that the story goes is not just, you need to relax this. You need to be more mindful. All this kind of top-down teaching. It has characters that essentially come in with a different philosophy and try to tell you you're doing it wrong, and has all these interesting angles on what is actually happening to this particular character. I think that's all worthy. I think that's all worthwhile. I recommend it for that. But the functioning of collecting tea and making tea, not great.
I gotcha. Yeah, the game aspect. So shout out to Nissa in the chat. So said she's a licensed therapist and really adored the game. So fantastic.
Very cool.
I'll get to that in a second. We got a question from Mitch. I'll ask you guys.
I'm an unlicensed therapist myself.
What other game did you want to mention, Hogue? You said you had a couple.
I do have a couple. Yes, the other game that I wanted to mention is On Your Tail, which is a game that we've seen featured in a number of indie showcases for the last couple of years. You are essentially an anthropomorphized. I think my girls and I decided you're a goat girl.
Very cool.
And you are essentially trying to, again, much like Wanderstop, find yourself and figure out what's going wrong with your life in the sun-baked coastal city of Italy, where you're also solving crimes. Because who doesn't want to solve crimes in Italy in a kind of furry, anthropomorphized setting? It's really well done. It's a little bit less well written than Wanderstop, but that's not really unusual for the indie space. It's gorgeous. It has really good art. It has really cool vibes. You talk about cozy games, Ains. And one of the things that's weird about Wanderstop is, as Travis suggested, all of the seriousness that goes with your Dr. Seuss visuals. It's a strange mix in Wanderstop. But On Your Tail is one where you're solving these crimes. You get cards of all the characters and all the clues, and you're building like little dioramas about what happened in these crimes. Unfortunately, the actually mystery solving part of this game is not as well thought out as things like the characters and the art. And so I think it's a little bit less fulfilling than it should be. But it's another one that I would recommend. It's a good game. Again, not great. Just want to be honest with my takes on this. I also wanted to mention a not so indie, not so under the radar game that came out last year, but that I'm playing this week because it was on sale on my PlayStation, called Darkest Dungeon 2.
Yeah, nice.
If you're familiar with Darkest Dungeon 1, it's a lot like that, but it's also a lot not. In this one, instead of building up a village to go and conquer Cthulhu that lives under your mansion, you are instead going on a road trip. You are building up your team at the same time that you're building up your vehicle to make it through these various areas in a kind of Slay the Spire map. And I think it's excellent. It, like Darkest Dungeon 1, will break your brain trying to work through all the mathematics of these various different characters that all have these different skills. But it is a very robust, very complex, turn-based fighting system, and I think it's a good way to spend your time if you're at all interested in that, and it is on sale this week. So I've been playing that as well.
I played that one. I kind of didn't like it as much as the first, but I did
It's
get
very
through it.
different.
It is very different. Which I appreciate. I like it when games try new stuff. I would have been disappointed if they just did the same thing, but I can't really remember my specific criticisms because I feel like I played that game more than a year ago. You're saying it came out a year ago, but I
It was
feel
in
like it
early
was
access
longer.
for a while.
Yeah,
Okay,
it might have been in early access. It came
yeah.
out in July of last year.
Okay, yeah. I feel like I played a long time ago, and I was just like, okay, yeah, it's not. But yeah, I like that series in general. I love the art. I love the
The art is
themes.
amazing, and
Yeah,
the art in 2 is even better than 1. They've three
yeah.
dimensionalized it. It's really, really good. Check out the trailers to that. I've been enjoying that a lot. It's on sale this week. The last
Okay.
game I have, as long as we're just letting me go wild with Hoag's notes, is the Game Loft interpretation of the Netflix cartoon series Carmen Sandiego.
Oh, okay. I
Now,
saw
where in the
this,
world
yeah.
is Carmen Sandiego is one of my favorite childhood elementary school type memories. I'm sure that's the same for
Yeah.
a lot of people. Broderbund software, hunting down criminals with your little almanac in computer lab because the teachers said you were learning something, you were allowed to play this game. So this is more like those older games than I really thought it would be. You're tracking down criminals as Carmen Sandiego this time. Not that it makes much of a difference because apparently she's a good guy in the Netflix show. Don't know. Didn't watch the Netflix cartoon. It's a lot simpler than those older games. You don't need an almanac. You don't need to look up things on Google or wherever you might look up things. But it does have very similar vibes to those older games. And it even has a mode that will emulate kind of the way those older games looked. It is probably not worth full price, but it is a relatively fun, simple experience if that's what you're looking for. And it does match up a lot with what you probably remember from the older Carmen Sandiegos.
Wow. Yeah, that's going way back. I had Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego on the Sega Master System. So we're going way back. And I think Genesis too at some point. That's cool though. I saw like an ad for it somewhere and I was like, what? This is back, and that's cool. Very cool. All right. I got, by the way, Time says that Wayne June, the narrator of Darkest Dungeon 1 and 2, passed away unexpectedly a few weeks ago.
Oh, that guy
Pretty
has
sad.
a voice, man, or
Yeah,
had a voice,
seriously.
I guess.
Damn, that's a shame. Real quick, why don't we do a quick question here from Mitch, who asked the three of us, if you guys could only play 3 upcoming games this year, what would they be? Including games slated for this year. So you can add GTA if you want
can have
to here.
GTA on there?
If you want to.
I'm not wasting a slot on that.
That's pretty easy. GTA gets a slot if it's coming out this year, which it's not. I'm not going to choose it though, just because on principle, I do not think it's coming out this year.
Fable would have been up there for me, but that got pushed officially too. So
I know. Yeah, that would have been a good one. I will say Expedition 33. Probably The Altars is pretty high on my list. And then what's something else coming out this year? I don't know, Oblivion remaster apparently. What are the I just don't know enough about the games coming out this year aside from that.
I would say I'm with you on Expedition. I think that would probably make it for me. I know it does for Hogue, obviously. I think South of Midnight's pretty high up there for me. I'm really pumped about South of Midnight.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one.
I think Doom is up there for me as well.
Oh yeah,
Dark Ages. Yeah. So those those might be my 3, honestly. And they're all coming out in the next 2 months, which is wild to say out loud.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the interesting things here is that Nintendo's clearly been keeping any announcements past Switch 2 completely to themselves. So I suspect one of these slots would actually be a Nintendo game, but that is not
Metroid
for this year.
If Metroid comes out this year, yeah.
My answers are Expedition 33, number 1, easily. Claire Obscure, very excited about that game. Death Stranding 2, we talked about, but Death Stranding 1 was one of my favorites of that year. I'm really looking forward to Death Stranding 2. That's definitely one that I'm going to play this year. And then to kind of go along with that theme, I'm actually really excited about Metal Gear Solid Delta. So I'm looking forward to Konami's revengeance on this stuff. I'm excited about Suikoden being revived. I'm excited about Silent Hill. We're going to talk about more. I'm excited about Metal Gear Delta. So I think those are my three.
And Zombie calls us out, I would say appropriately, that we forgot Ghost of Yotei. I think that's got to be up there.
I did not forget it.
It's up there for me, definitely. I don't know if it's top 3, but it's definitely up there.
Yeah, I'm only allowed 3, right? Because Assassin's Creed would be very high.
Assassin's Creed's up there, yep.
Yotei.
There's a lot of games, So, yeah. But you're right, with the Switch 2 as well. I mean, we could be looking at a Mario Kart 9, Metroid Prime 4. There were rumors this week. There's a lot of rumors every week, but people... Metroid Prime 4, there was conversation about it being shown at the Direct that's coming up, that it's going to really blow people away. I guess that's what's expected. That shouldn't really be a rumor, but we'll see. So, Mitch, thank you for the question. All right. Where are we here? Real quick, we've got about 200 people concurrent hanging out with us. Please do us a favor. Hit that like button, hit that share button, share it out on your favorite social platform. Definitely helps us. As I seem to mention quite often recently, the YouTube algorithm has not been kind lately for various different reasons. So please do that. We would appreciate it. But let's get on to our main topics here. So I want to talk a little bit about the Xbox rumors that came out. And I say rumors because they are rumors. Though I think, Jez has been on this channel several times, and I've talked with him quite a bit. And I think, he wouldn't. I think I know him well enough to say he wouldn't have written this if it wasn't really well-founded. So if you didn't see this, 2 different things. We'll tackle these separately. But the first one is that Microsoft or Xbox has already been working with a PC gaming main brand, think Asus, Lenovo, Razer, etc., on an Xbox-branded handheld that's surprisingly slated to release later this year. It is not internally developed, but think of like your Rogue Ally type device branded as Xbox with an Xbox guide button. Supposedly, according to Jez, that will be, he was told, unmistakably Xbox. So guide button, Xbox design, look, feel, etc. So I guess my first question for you guys is, from a Steam Deck perspective, Rogue Ally, Lenovo, all these things that have kind of grown out of the the mobile market. What's your interest level here? Do you have any interest in an Xbox branded portable? Does the portable space outside of the Switch interest you at all, like the PC gaming portable?
No. I have my Steam Deck. I'm done.
Do you use your Steam Deck at any regular cadence?
No, not on regular cadence. It's a nice to have to move around with, but I don't need anything else.
I have two Steam Decks and an ROG Ally, and they are all paperweights. I do not use them at all. That said, I'll probably still buy another one. I think I'm sort of just waiting for one of these portable devices to work for me. My problem with the Steam Deck is that it doesn't play a lot of the games I want to play. It has to be Steam Deck certified. And for whatever reason, 85 to 90% of the games I want to play on the Steam Deck are not Steam Deck certified. And so I just end up with not being
like rough.
Yeah, or they're an online game and the Steam Deck doesn't let you play online games because it can't run the anti-cheat software, something like that, right? And then the ROG Ally works great because it's just a tiny PC, but it has the worst UI ever because it's just Windows 10. Like, you open it up and it's like you're using your finger as like the cursor to open like tiny submenus. It's unbelievably unintuitive and just painful to use. And so I've used them a few times when I'm like reviewing a indie game on Steam and I need to be on the go for whatever reason. I got to go visit Dee's mom or whatever. I'll bring it with me and use it in a pinch. But I think I'm just waiting for one of these handheld devices to meet my requirements, and then I'll be stoked. And in the meantime, I'll probably just be collecting them. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I'm pretty similar. I talk to a lot of people. There's guys at SG that use Steam Decks and portals, PlayStation portals, all the time. There's people in our chat. I know Nissa loves her Rogue Ally. Some of our regulars talk about their Rogues and their Steam Decks all the time. So there's definitely the market there for it in terms of the people that enjoy these things. I bought a Steam Deck at launch. I bought the top model, and I've used it when I've flown a couple times, right, to Summer Game Fest or something. Otherwise, it literally, to your point, Travis, it's literally sitting on the shelf over there. I don't think I've picked it up in I don't know when the last time I picked it up. It just sits there.
The ROG
So
Ally is your main console. You have way more patience than I do. Because that is a brutal experience using that to play games.
well, it's like I know people who like the Switch was their main console and they only played it portable, like handheld. And I'm like, I don't know how you do that, but if you're happy with it, then by all means. I mean, play whatever game you want to play where you want to play it. It just, yeah, for me, I don't find a lot of use in these. That said, I do think there's value depending on what this looks like, how it functions, how it's designed, all the, like you said, business requirements, basically, Travis, of an Xbox handheld that is actually sensibly used, well designed from like an Xbox ecosystem perspective, right? If it allows me to have my digital library and Game Pass and is, decent size, battery life, all that kind of stuff, I could see there being some use for me there just because I have so many games in that ecosystem. And there's so many games on Game Pass that, I don't really touch necessarily, just indie games, smaller games. I think this could be a kind of a good device in that vein. But I'm very curious to see what this looks like, how much it costs, what the power level is, screen, all those kind of big questions. But
Yeah.
I
The problem is
feel
if you're playing portable, you have to compete with Nintendo. And if I'm on the go trying to play a game, the odds that I'm not going to be playing a game on the Switch just because they have unique titles I can't play elsewhere that like are better to play on the go because it's like, all right, well, what am I going to, actually sit down and play one of these portable games that I wouldn't get around to or whatever. So I just think, especially with the Switch 2 coming out, like there's going to be
that's what I was just going to
real
say.
competition here. Yeah.
Well, and it depends
the
where the Switch 2 lands, because if the Switch 2 doesn't land as powerfully as we think it will, then there still could be value in something like an Xbox portable that can run Assassin's Creed Shadows when the Switch
Yeah.
definitely can't. We assume the Switch 2 can, but we don't know that for sure right now.
I kind of assume it can't.
The Switch 2?
Yeah.
I think that the Switch 2 should be aiming at being able to play games that are released now in 2025. We know it's going to lose the edge on what's coming out in the next 7 to 10 years, but it should be able to play what comes out right now.
We hope. Yeah,
Yes.
we
We
hope.
hope. I just sort of am going in with the assumption that it can't, and if I'm wrong, I'll be pleasantly surprised. But I don't think I am.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, to point, well, we don't know, but we'll see. Obviously, we'll see soon, which will be nice. Got a poll up on the SE side of the house around interest level in this. Throw your vote up there. Yeah, I guess we'll see. Obviously, assuming things hold, they haven't announced anything yet, but assuming Xbox does its normal June showcase and event, and if this is this close to releasing, obviously that'll be a big part of it. So we'll know here in a few months what this looks like officially, or should know in a few months what this looks like officially. Let me ask one other question here, because there are other devices. I know a couple guys in the space that test all of these, even the like most expensive ones, and there are portable devices like this that get up into the $1,200 range. Like they start to get into like laptop prices. What do you guys have a cutoff where you would say like there's no way I'm going to spend that much on a handheld device of this nature? Like, is there a price line where you're like you're not willing to cross?
I probably wouldn't spend more than 1,000, but honestly, I'm not in the market for this anyway.
Okay.
If it was good enough, I would spend, at any price. Like if you were to, but it would have to be pretty. It would have to be a pretty high bar to get above a certain amount. I'm not crazy, but like,
Well, that's a
yeah.
separate topic, but
Yeah, it is a separate topic. But when it comes to this stuff, I tend to be on the side of like if it is reasonably good enough, like I'll pay to just not be annoyed by like battery life or having no storage space, so I can only have like one game installed, like that sort of stuff. It's just like not worth the pain for me. So I will pay the higher price. But I've just been disappointed. Like you, Ains, I bought the more expensive version of the Steam Decks. And then also the ROG Ally, and I've gotten very little use out of them.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
A couple of people put prices $500. I think Steam Decks have a good price range, so those are $300 to $600 or so, and then there's other ones. So someone said Nixie says $800 if the performance obviously is higher. So okay.
Well, I said I'm not interested in buying one, but I will say that there does at least appear to me to be a success case out there that's possible for Xbox, just based on what I've experienced with my Steam Deck, what Travis has described with his ROG, which is this clunkiness that comes with the portable PC. And we've talked about the fact that Microsoft is a software company. They really aren't a hardware company. Obviously, they've been making hardware for a long time. But this arrangement of potentially making operating software, potentially being a partner to someone else making hardware, could feasibly wind up with a less clunky, out of the box, I can play Xbox games type of piece of hardware that would get past some of the stuff that we've described as our issues with the PC portable space right now.
Agree. Yeah, that's what I'd like to see. That's why I think I'm most curious when they say a branded and partnership. How deep are we talking? You know what I mean? Like how involved were they?
Well, I'd like to believe they're making Xbox Big Picture mode, and that's what they're contributing. But
and I hope it works better than Steam Big Picture mode.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, there definitely is a space to succeed there. Oh, you're right about that. Like, there's a dire need for players like me for there to be something that is as functional as the ROG Ally with a UI that is like the Steam Deck and a games library that is a little closer to the Switch. I know we're not going to get there, but like, there's definitely an opening for sure.
I think to your guys' point, I don't think anyone's perfected that yet. Because even if you look at the Switch and say, from a UI and simple ease of use standpoint, there's all the other issues with the Switch, right? Like, so
the Switch is easy to use, but we could probably be a little bit less easy to use, Nintendo. You can add a little bit more to your interface.
More features would be nice. Yeah.
You could maybe turn Bluetooth on by default. You don't need to wait a year and a half and then tell us that it had Bluetooth. That was a crazy move.
Nintendo is always crazy.
We don't need to get on that. The other piece of his report here, article, is that the successors to the Series X and S platform have been fully greenlit all the way to Nadella. And they are in full development with the expectation they will launch in fall of 2027, which would put it 7 years post-launch of Series X and S. Seems about right, in terms of where AMD is and their roadmap. And, these things take multiple years, a few years to actually go from design to, fleshing out. So this seems about right. I think I'm trying to see. I've got the quotes here from Jez. He basically says... alongside its own Xbox gaming handheld. So Xbox reportedly making their own handheld from a first-party perspective, and new controller options. I think the Elite 3 was, talked about a little while ago in rumblings of what's going on. So I guess my next question for you guys is, I don't think there's any surprise here. I think with the way Xbox has been managing their portfolio, there's a lot of discussion around where they're going and what they're doing. But they have said, if you take them at their word, they have said multiple times that they're not getting out of the hardware space. So in terms of the next Xbox console, my question for you guys is, does the way they're managing their portfolio, meaning putting some of their games on PlayStation, Switch 2 is probably going to get some of those similar games as well, things being across on PC natively, does that impact your decision on whether or not you'll buy the next Xbox console?
The impact to me is that it becomes less of a must buy, right? I mean, that's just the honest truth, is that one of the reasons that you get all the consoles, or that I do, is so that I can play all of the premium exclusive things made just for that box and not have to worry about what I've got. If Microsoft is releasing everything everywhere, and I'm not sure that they're quite there yet, but it seems to be trending that direction, then I would still want an Xbox, but I wouldn't need one day one. It wouldn't be a hellfire hurry to get this particular console. And I think they should probably understand that if they are looking at these things reasonably from a financial or business perspective, is that that's what they are selling when they're moving to the other platforms, is that kind of need to purchase this particular box to go under your television. So I will fully admit I am less inclined to buy an Xbox day one based on their movement of all their games elsewhere. But it doesn't mean that I think Xbox is going to wind up out of the hardware console business or anything like that.
Do you think, let me not rephrase. Let me add something to the conversation, because the rumblings, I'll say, around this box and what's going on with it is that it's going to be more aligned with PC platform, Windows platform, right? With the eventual possibility of
They
being
say
in
that
a.
every year.
I know. I'm just saying for the conversation, if this is a device that gives you more flexibility in the console space, so kind of breaks down those walls a little bit, where you can plug it into your TV, it's still plug and play like a console, but it gives you the ability to access other things, potentially even other store spaces. Does that interest you anymore?
It might. I certainly like it conceptually. I get worried, just like we were talking about with respect to the portable space, about clunkiness. The value of a console to me is going in, playing what I want to play, not having to think about a lot of the details. Honestly, even the shift to performance versus quality mode this generation has been a friction point in my experience with console games that I don't much love. Versus PC games, where you buy a PC game and you spend the first hour, if not more, kind of going through all of the various graphical settings, maybe some other settings to figure out what exactly your play is going to be like. Consoles really were designed to be simpler. And so it would be nice, maybe, if you could have cross-platform support through one box. That seems very difficult to do in a intuitive way that I would enjoy. So I'd have to see those presentations. I'd have to see what UI they came up with to make that work, because I don't want to be having to get some kind of college degree to figure out how to use my console. And that's what I see more likely to happen in terms of clunkiness with that approach.
You don't want to have to update your drivers on your console? Come on.
I do not. I mean, don't tell me what you're updating. My consoles already do this, right? Don't tell me what you're updating. I don't care. Increases stability, whatever. Just do it, and then let me play my game.
God, dude, I could tell you horror stories about me fighting with my PC. It really is like it's the PC is just a console you turn on and it challenges you to a fist fight every single time before you can play it, and then you have a great time after the fist fight. But Jesus, man. I think I'm less excited if they try to do the multiple storefront thing. It makes me a little worried that they're getting out of the things we do well, kind of strengths, area, and I've seen them do that in the past, and then end up with Connect. It comes in the box, and we're gonna make you wave at your Xbox every morning.
Hey, Connect was awesome.
Look, I'm a Connect apologist. I think it was cool, but they should not have bundled it. Their entire strategy was absolutely terrible. So I just think that they get in really weird places with it. Xbox is my console of choice, not because of their games, but because I think it's the better ecosystem in terms of I want to be able to have more than 5 terabytes on my console, and Xbox lets me do that. They have a very I would say more tinkerer kind of vibe to their console that I enjoy.
More features too.
Yeah, just more features. There's stuff you can do that the PlayStation doesn't want to mess with, and that's totally fine. I think they're very different systems, but for me, I've got 80 terabytes connected to my Xbox and like 5,000 games installed. You can't do that on PlayStation, which is why I play on Xbox.
Can I ask you a question, Travis?
Yeah.
I can appreciate, I guess, wanting to do that at some level, but what is the usefulness of having 5,000 games installed simultaneously? You're certainly not actively participating in 5,000 games at once.
Yeah, so sometimes you have to be able to get archival footage when you're doing reviews or previews. It'll just be like, hey, there's some game that we're referencing, or, hey, this new game came out that's actually a remake of a series that came out 15 years ago. Does anybody have access to that footage? And if you have the game already pre-installed with your save files in the cloud, and you don't have to mess with anything, and you can just boot it up and get 15 minutes of that and then put it alongside the footage, that's super useful. Okay. I'm of course in a weird situation now where my quest to have every game that I own on Xbox installed at the same time is sort of pointless, because now I can download games faster than I can transfer them from the HDD to the SSD because my internet's fast. And so I've kind of made my own system completely unnecessary, but it's just a good thing to have. You never know when you're going to need it. And I do often find there's just cases where somebody will pop off in the IGN Slack and be like, can anybody get footage of this game randomly? And I'll just be like, yeah, I actually have that game installed. Like I'll pull it up and play it. So
Nice.
it's just I don't know. It's just like a thing. And also I just like being able to be like, a friend comes over and they're like, oh, you work in games. What's your console situation? I'll be like, hey, you want to play any of these? I got 5,000 installed right here. And just be able to like show somebody a list of
Peels back
5,000
the
games that are
curtain.
installed. It's like pretty cool. Like I've had people come over and be like, dude, that's crazy. Like look at all those games installed on your
I just like that Travis
Yeah.
went into his, hey kid, you want to see some candy?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, the other thing,
you want
like,
to see something cool. Yeah.
the other thing I don't think they get enough credit for, and we're slightly off topic, but is like in their ecosystem, right? Not only Game Pass, but when you buy a game, you play it on console or PC interchangeably, and your save is just there. It just syncs automatically to the cloud.
Yeah, I don't have to do
like,
the whole like I'm choosing to play this on my PlayStation, or I want to make sure I can play it on the PlayStation in my bedroom and not the one out here. And I
yeah,
have
you
to
just
like
play
save
it
to the
wherever you
cloud.
are. Yeah,
Exactly.
it's so
They just
easy.
make everything so easy. And if you're like a reviewer who's traveling and has to sometimes do technical stuff, but mostly just wants things to work, especially, and this is such a nitpick that nobody should care about except for me, but the PlayStation makes it very hard to record capture. They have all these rules about DHCP that you have to like go in and turn off, and I have to do it on every unit. It's very frustrating if you're using pass-through technology to capture footage. And so Xbox does not do that. They also have a controller I prefer. I do think if they're going to go mobile, they should not do Series M. They should just make the Series S a mobile device. It's already almost there. I can snap a screen onto the back of my Series S and play it. It's almost thin enough for me to carry. Just make the Series S a mobile device that can run all of the same games, but at a lower fidelity. I think we're ready. I think we're ready for that.
My guess is they don't do two consoles. It sounds like, and I honestly believe we talked about this a while ago, whereas next gen, when we were talking about what they'll do next, I swear we said their best route from an Xbox perspective would be to create a successor to the Series X, right? Have your premium console and then have a second one that is a mobile platform, like a Switch, basically. And it sounds like, I mean, according to this report, that's what they're doing.
Yeah, I think they should always have the Series S device. Like there should be a like bargain version of their console, because that allows them to make their premium console as crazy as they want to make it and not have to worry about like losing the console war. But well, they already lost the console war, but like you know what I mean, not like losing market share or whatever. But I do think that there's a opportunity to replace for the Series S's successor to be a mobile device, and I think that's probably the right call. I mean, they're similar power levels, similar price point. Like they're kind of already in the same space. So yeah, just do that, I would say. And then I don't have to buy the separate screens that snap onto the back of this new Series S, because it'll have a screen on it. Just saying. But yeah, I'll probably still play on the new Xbox. I don't really care. I hate all of the platforms equally. I hate my PlayStation. I hate my Xbox. I hate my PC especially. The Switch I have weirdly the fewest complaints about, and I have a lot of complaints about the Switch. But yeah, that's where I'm at with it.
Yeah, I mean, anyone knows me, I'm a day oneer on it. I'll buy it. I hope it's awesome. I always prefer for them to err on the side of more power, more features. I love my PS5 Pro. I know I'm in the minority. I know it's a small percentage of market share, and Xbox didn't think it made sense to do so on the Xbox side. I wish they did. Just because I'm one of the few people that would have bought it on day one and played everything on it like I'm doing on my Pro. I'm actually buying all my games, generally speaking, on the Pro now instead of Xbox, right? I'm buying them on PlayStation because, not to go back to Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, but another perfect example. It's fantastic on the Pro. It's a noticeable upgrade. The Finals is another one. The Finals runs better on the Pro now than Series X. And so, I wish Xbox did that. But regardless, I'll be there day one. Whether or not I buy the mobile one day one is a maybe, but who knows? We'll see. We need.
I'll buy both of those. I'll buy both of them.
Yeah,
and honestly,
I mean, if it's the S successor, then that makes sense, right?
I own an embarrassing amount of S consoles. I have 2 Series X's and like maybe 7 or 8 Series S's. Like it's like kind of out of control.
Yeah. I just like the best
that face
experience.
hug
Like
is the correct reaction, and my wife is very confused about why I have so many
he's
S's.
building a
And
Series S server farm.
I've explained it to her so many times, Hogue. All right, they all have a different function. All right, you don't get it. But look, when you're asked to review like Ghostbusters, the 5-player game, and the game isn't out yet, and the server support isn't there, but you have 5 buddies that all live in the neighborhood, and they could all come over to your house and play in the same room. Then you find out you need 5 Series S's. All right, I'm just saying, Hogue.
I like the S. I think it's a little miracle box, but I don't have 7 of them.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Think about maybe having 7. How could 7 Series S's improve your life, Hogue? That's what I want to know.
Hogue House is saving money in 2025. I don't think we need extraneous Series S's.
He's creating a server farm to play games remotely at 480p. He's gonna crush it.
Right, dude.
Well, there you go. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully, we get some news this summer, obviously, and we'll talk about it at that point. But interesting times. I think given the Pro releasing in 2024. If you just look at the timeline, this could line up with the PS6 as well. Obviously, the PS6 is probably well into development, right? So it could be a 2027 fall launch for both, like we typically see, kind of parallel. So good times. I just love new hardware. I'm a sucker for new. I'm always going to be the guy that loves new hardware.
Yeah,
it's fun times as a gamer.
I hate it because what am I going to do with my 7 Series S's in the new console generation?
they're not going to be destroyed. You can still use them. You can still
can't
play all
use
the
them,
Ghostbusters you want.
I can't use them. They're dead to me. As soon as the new console comes out, I now have 7 Christmas gifts.
Well, there you go.
You just figure out what you're doing with them. Yeah,
there you go. There you go. Who wants a Series S? If you want a Series S in 2027, hit me up. I'm your guy, bro. I've got them in black. I've got them in white. They've all got their own expansion cards. Actually, I might need to keep those.
I honestly didn't know they made an S in black. I haven't bought one recently.
A 1 terabyte one.
They have a 1 terabyte one. Is it worth the upgrade? No. But I needed the space.
Hey,
I will tell you the silent upgrade that worked best for me, because I don't usually expand storage. I'm the opposite of Travis. I delete, reinstall, whatever. Internet's fast enough. But the PS5 Pro, because I only had the launch PS5 with the base memory, which was like garbage, right? You could hold like 3 games. The new one with the 2 terabyte drive has made life a lot easier. I will say that. So it's nice. I get it now. All right. Moving on. We have a topic I care very little about, but I'm going to let you guys talk about it.
Heck of a pitch, Ains.
Saudi Arabia.
Viewers don't go anywhere. We're about to talk about something Ains
I don't care about at all.
Now, wait a minute. This is one of the most popular games on Earth.
I know.
Let's talk about it.
I play it quite a bit. All right.
All right. So the topic is, before these guys jump down my throat here, Saudi Arabia's sovereign wealth fund buys Niantic for $3.5 billion.
Pause.
Pause.
Yeah, pause.
Go.
They did not buy Niantic.
They didn't buy the company.
So the report I read
specifically.
Yeah, well, they bought a number of the games, but
sorry,
it's important to distinguish between buying the company and buying assets of the company.
Of course.
So what they bought was essentially Niantic's gaming side, including Pokemon Go. That's what people are going to care about the most, but other Go games, other things that they've worked on. Niantic has not had the same level of success as they did when they launched Pokemon Go so many years ago. So a lot of the other assets are not driving these headlines. But Niantic continues to exist outside of the Saudi Arabian government.
Thank you. This is the last time I pull up news from an EU website. Damn you, EU.
Yeah, how dare you?
You could just blame journalists in general. It's not EU specific.
No, the whole EU is responsible for this mistake.
That's right. You should annex them.
Anyway, so yeah, talk to me, guys. I think more about this company being where they are and in that space, Travis. So is this?
Yes.
What's the thought here?
Well, I'm playing Pokemon Go right now, so don't worry
Oh
about me.
god.
I'm not-
How do you do it just sitting there?
I play well, yeah. So I play Pokemon Go with my wife. You may recall, Ains, it was in our vows. She promised that she would always be there for me on Pokemon Community Day. Um, yeah, it's a very popular game in San Francisco. Niantic is an SF-based company. A lot of the like crazy Pokemon culture at the time was based here, and they put a lot of work into like there always being stuff to do if you're in SF because they're I think biased to like people living in this area, and
I've
so
never seen that before.
yeah,
And
they yeah they what can I say? They have a big presence here, and this was a pretty big news headline to people who live in SF. I know some people that work there. My wife is friends with people who have jobs in Niantic and now have a new parent company, and so it is a little interesting. I'm always a little, just my personal situation. My is that when I see Saudi Arabia buying stuff, I'm like, yeah, what are they up to? What are those guys up to? But that's just me. I don't think it's going to change a lot. Pokemon Go is a very popular and very infinitely kind of a developed game. Like I just don't see it going anywhere or any major changes coming. I think it's just going to be a cash cow and another odd investment from Saudi Arabia that always makes me go like, why are they doing that? What are they up to?
Hmm.
They're just chasing profits, is my guess, and I think Pokemon Go is a pretty safe bet. It's going to
well, it is the wealth fund. It is designed to chase profits. It's not a
Yeah,
strategic
exactly.
purchase.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't think it'll change much. The question that I've been getting a lot from my DMs and people asking me is about how the data is collected. Pokemon Go, all the Go games, obviously collecting a different stripe of data than when you agree to all of the end user license agreement terms for playing Crash Bandicoot, right? There's only so much that Activision and Microsoft are likely to do with that data. In Go games, you're getting some location data, you're getting some actual information about how people are traversing wherever it is they're traversing. So I think people are justifiably concerned about how these licenses work, what data is going directly to the Saudi Arabian government, that kind of thing. And I do think that that's a worthwhile part of this conversation. It's a worthwhile part of the conversation for what Nintendo's relationship with this company is. Niantic, I keep adding an N in the middle, I'm sorry.
I've noticed that. Yeah.
Niantic has a license, obviously, to use the intellectual property of Nintendo and Pokemon Company in their game. Those licenses generally have certain assignment restrictions, but those restrictions are lifted on the sale of an entire business arm, an entire asset class like Pokemon Go. So chances are there's not going to be an issue with Savvy or Scopely or Saudi Arabia proper running Pokemon Go. But Nintendo might have something to say about that. I think there's all interesting questions about this. And I don't blame anybody looking at this news item and saying, well, it's one thing to send my data to a black box San Francisco company. It's another to send it to the Saudi Arabian Wealth Fund. So I think there might be an effect on the audience of this, but Pokemon will probably win out at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Jigglypuff,
I think so.
more
My
important.
wife's original response to this was like, "Oh, that sucks. I want to play it less now." Like there's sort of just like a general kind of like I don't know if it's just specific to people in SF. Probably not. It's probably just like, oh, that's it just feels weird, right? When like a country like Saudi Arabia does something like this. But
I don't think, for the record, I don't think it's limited to Saudi Arabia. I think it's really, if you had any government saying, hey, yes, we'd like to buy your entertainment product, and yes, we will collect all that location data, I think basically any government would give people a moment of pause. Saudi Arabia has been in the business of doing these investments in games for a while now. Their wealth fund has decided that it was one of the better industries to invest in order to diversify their portfolio and make money for that country. And certainly how you feel about Saudi Arabia in general is going to come into that. But I think people are just a little bit more aware of data concerns all around. And it's not a surprise to me that they have this particular sensitivity towards this purchase.
Yeah, agreed. There was a note too that they're wanting to invest broadly in esports. So that'll be interesting too.
Well, it was the savvy investment falling apart that really brought about the end of Embracer Group, at least as we knew it then.
Right.
Saudi Arabia has been in the news doing stuff in video games for a long time.
Yeah, because that was $2 billion, if I recall correctly, right? That fell through.
Yes, essentially a bridge kind of financing that turned out to be what Embracer was betting on.
Banking on, yeah, which is why they shuttered so many things. Yeah, yeah. Well, we'll see what happens here, if anything. Best case scenario, nothing really changes. You just kind of keep
Yeah, I
playing
don't
your
think anything
game.
will
And
change.
so there you
Also,
go.
worth noting, Nintendo has pretty ironclad like power over what happens with this game. Like we've seen them exert it before, but it's Nintendo. Obviously, they are very protective of their stuff, and I don't, yeah, I really don't think a lot is going to change. It's just who's profiting off of the Pokeballs you buy.
A lot of money. Yeah.
A lot of money.
Want to quickly get a super chat that I apologize, Hobbix. I missed this as we were talking about the Xbox topic. So let's hit this one up.
Ogs offers £4.99. The excitement for me isn't the hardware, is Xbox interface for Windows that I can use on my PC plugged into my TV.
Yeah.
That notion of them building a big picture mode. Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah, it's usability. Yeah, if you can give me kind of PC, like I said, a console sensibility with an additional few feature set from PC, that's where the win would be for me personally. But to Hoag's point, I don't want to lose the console ease of use. If you take the console ease of use away, I'm just playing on my PC anyway. There's no point. So, yeah, very fair.
Yeah.
Hobbix, thank you for the super chat, my friend. I apologize for the late response there. All right.
Every time you say it, Ains, I hear Travis saying hobbitses like Gollum.
Oh yeah, didn't I say that this morning?
Yes.
For my audio test, I decided to quote Gollum.
Hobbitses.
Because why wouldn't you do it? Filthy hobbitses.
Destin, what's up, man? Shout out to Destin in the chat. Nintendo has a huge set of Pokeballs. There you go.
Hey,
That's
Destin.
Destin's contribution.
I was just watching his interview on Last Stand.
There you go.
I would say Ultra Balls, really.
Oh man, Destin, don't give me negative about making it harder for the Xbox. But
when is
on
Destin
the better
going to be on the show? He shows up in the comments all the time. Just come on.
He was on that one time with us. Yeah, he pops
no,
in.
I'm saying come on to the show.
Oh, like for the full show. Yeah.
Yeah, for the show.
Clearly, Destin is more comfortable and prefers taking sniper shots from the chat rather than being here on video. I can't blame him.
Destin, I hope you're doing all right, man. I miss you. Destin has been messaging me a lot, like, what's going on at IGN? How we doing? And I'm like, Destin, I miss you too, buddy. So it's nice to hear you. Yeah, it's nice to hear from you. He's off doing his own thing now, for those who don't know.
Yeah. He is.
So, now,
like I said, that's why he was in a multi-hour interview.
Sometimes his head just pops up at my window, and he goes,
"What's going on in there?
What are you working on for GDC? What are you playing in there?"
Yeah, I know. I told him last time he popped in, he has an open invite. All you got to do is let me know. You're welcome to join. So we got the Silent Hill transmission this week, and I, being the horror fan, or a horror fan, not the horror fan, I was really excited about this, and I'm glad that we got a full trailer and synopsis of Silent Hill F, the one that we heard a year or two ago they were working on, Konami directly. So a lot of good talent behind this one. If you didn't see this trailer and you're interested in horror or Silent Hill, definitely check it out. It's got that very, very Japanese horror vibe to it. Feels like one of the movies from the early 2000s, kind of a little bit. The synopsis for this is, I'll read this real quick. It's 1960s era Japan, teenager Shimizu Hanako. Is that what it is? If I pronounce that correct, I hope. Lives in a small remote town of, oh man, anyone got this?
Sugaoka.
Gauka, okay. Nestled in a mountain pass. An average teen, she passes the time with nothing particularly special about her life until, that is, a deep fog descends onto the city or town, and everything Hanako knows crumbles as she finds her once familiar home infested with spreading danger, the town empty except for the horrors teeming in the fog. Go ahead.
Abisu. I recognize that word. It's the name of a sushi place in my neighborhood.
It's probably silent. It's probably Japanese for Silent Hill.
It's Abisu. Wait, why would that be the name of a sushi restaurant then? Oh,
well, it could be Hill.
That to me.
It could be Hill.
Silent fish.
You're not allowed to talk in the sushi restaurant. Everybody shut up. We're eating sushi.
It says there's a warning on the site, Psychological Horror. It says this game contains depictions of gender discrimination, child abuse, bullying, drug-induced hallucinations, torture, and very graphic violence. If you feel uncomfortable at any point while playing, please take a break or speak to someone you trust. That's what it says on the site. So
Sorry, I just Googled Abisu.
what is it?
It's God of Fisherman and Fortune. He's
All
so
right.
the god of fish, which is we're eating sushi with the god of fish. It makes sense now. It all makes sense. So it's probably a fishing village. Abisu, Gauka, fish village.
All
Up
right.
there, I guess. Fish town.
Silent Hill Fish. All right, there
There
you
we
go.
Dude,
I'm
I'm going to
pumped for this.
Abisu after this. Let's get sushi this morning. What do you guys say? Where are we dropping, boys?
I'm not
Apparently
flying out to
Abisu.
San Francisco to eat sushi with you.
Why
Travis.
not,
I
dude?
appreciate
we
the
said-
invite, though.
We said
you're so
Japan.
freaking lame, dude. Yeah.
Come on. I thought we were going to Japan. No.
Oh boy.
No, I'm saying this is in my neighborhood. It's
Oh.
it's
No,
it's
I'm
a
not
sushi
doing that.
place, like
I'd go.
a couple
I'd
blocks
fly
away.
over you to go to Japan, but I'm not going to
Actually,
stop.
Ains, we walked by it on that day we went to the museum. We walked right by a beach.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Good
This is a
neighborhood.
good talk that is pertinent to every member of our audience.
Everyone listening loves this.
Hey, look, if you're an SF and you want great sushi, reliable, long wait times, it's very popular, but Ibisu, highly recommended. I also now know that it means god of fish. God of fisherman.
Anyway.
Sorry.
Anyway, Silent Hill F. It looks fantastic. Are you guys interested in this? Did you check out the trailer?
Hell yeah, dude.
I did. I like the trailer. It is a different vibe than I expect from Silent Hill. So
Yes. Sure.
I am looking forward to it. I'm not positive it will meet me where I live on this stuff. So
I got very Grudge, Ring type vibes. You know what I mean? And that the early 2000s horror. I like those vibes from my Japanese horror, so I'm in for it. I hope it delivers. So.
Yeah, I also want to. What is it like? School children and ghosts. And
well, I mean, I see that as like the Siren series, which I never liked quite as much.
I hope that it is as good as that haunted mansion I went to in Japan.
We saw those
I hope-
pictures.
I hope this game is at least as good as that masterpiece level work.
You are not helping this conversation by referencing continual things that have nothing to do with the topic, my friend.
I agree. My goal is not to help with this podcast. Never has been, never will be.
What was I going
I'll
to
play
say?
this. Like, the
there's some
trailer was
great
good, I'll
images,
play it.
though.
That's my actual feedback.
Yeah, there's some great images. I was trying to upload one real quick to show on the live stream here, but that's okay. Check it out if you haven't checked it out. Like I said, I really like the look of this. I don't believe we have a release date yet, but it seems like it's pretty near, right?
Yeah, it seems like it's done. Like this was the rollout of we're ready to go on this. So it feels like fall, but I don't know why we don't have a date. I don't know if that's part of the Grand Theft Auto bubble. Like we're just not saying any dates in the fall for anything.
For
Anybody?
anything whatsoever.
Not allowed
Yeah.
to legally.
But like there is a bubble of like there are things that seem like it's this year. There are things that seem like it should come out this fall, and like nobody's saying dates that would appear to line up with fall.
Yeah.
That is true.
Do you have a release date? If you have a release date, you have to tell me, or it's entrapment.
That's right.
What was I going to say? You would think this would be obviously a lot of these come out Halloweenish. You would think that Silent Hill F is about as far away from Grand Theft Auto as you could get, but
You would think.
yeah, who knows? Who knows? It is Konami. We
Halloweenish.
got to see what they're doing. They do have isn't Metal Gear August?
Delta's August. Yeah, Delta's
Yeah.
August. So F lines up for October. There's no problem there if it's as far done as it looks.
Yeah. Agreed. This is the image I really liked, showing real quick on the screen. See, I love this. I love this kind of stuff. I'm in.
That's how I dance, dude.
Yeah. No, it's doing thriller, man. Silent Hill thriller. It's great.
I do like all the like the flowers and the foliage.
Yeah.
What's up with their legs? Are those twigs?
I'm sure we will find out, sir. Got to
This is
Could
the
uncover the
be.
problem
mystery.
with the games industry. These unrealistic body standards. It's like my legs are not gonna do that stuff, dude.
Travis
Try
is in a
something like
mood, folks.
It's
I
that
tell
time of the
you.
show. It's where he just goes off
You
cadence here. He's
can't
just, yeah.
keep me sitting here for 2 hours. Not expect me to go postal.
He doesn't even have a working mic, and he's still doing it. You know what I
It's
mean?
March
Like, have some
Madness. He warned
respect.
us.
These
He did warn
work,
us.
okay, Ains. If I didn't have a working mic, I wouldn't be here at all. I just pants on my signing.
I like I like that the way you said Mike. If I didn't have a working mic,
If I didn't have a working mic, okay, I wouldn't be here.
So check out Silent Hill F trailer if you haven't checked it out. The final thing I wanted to touch on today was Ubisoft. So another update from Bloomberg on what Ubisoft's continued saga on what they're attempting to do with their company. So Hogue, I'll let you speak more intelligently to this one, but it's sounding like, from the way I read this morning from Bloomberg, is that they're looking at standing up a separate entity that would kind of house some of their core IP. According to the report, it would include things like Assassin's Creed, where the investors would then hold a minority stake, and they're looking for a valuation potentially for this entity that could then maybe solve some of their financial woes for Ubisoft proper. Is that fair?
I mean, I think that's probably simplified. We would call this a spin-off in the business world. And I did see some headlines that used the term spin-off a little bit incorrectly. They talked about Ubisoft wanting to spin off their properties. We're not talking about an Assassin's Creed mobile title. We're not talking about spin-offs within the media concept. We're talking about a company moving its assets into another bucket so that it could better get investment in that other bucket that doesn't maybe have the same liabilities or exposures that the thing has in totality. Now, this is a difficult thing to pull off. Ordinarily, you'd want to have this happen before you get into the situation Ubisoft is in. You'd separate out your assets into separate company classes so that you could get investment in those assets particularly and avoid the exposures of the other assets. Whole bunch of business crap that we don't need to go into. But what's important about this story is that it doesn't actually correct the major issue that we've seen Ubisoft have, which is that the Guillemot family doesn't want to give up control of the entity. So even spinning off a Crown Jewels company, these are the assets that matter company, which, by the way, the spinoff would have to pay for, right? You're going to have an investor fight on this in any event, but you have to pay fair market value for what that asset class would be worth, or else they are going to get absolutely pilloried by the existing investors of what we'll call old Ubisoft for purposes of this conversation. So there's already a valuation issue there, but more importantly, if you're the family, you have to still solve for the control issue. Maybe you're willing to give up more control of the Crown Jewel asset spinoff. Maybe you aren't. Either way, it doesn't save Ubisoft as we know it right now. It's just essentially a financial play to what I would guess is keep control of this entire enterprise in two companies now under the control of the family, while saying Tencent et al., here's a nice place where you can park your money and not be as worried about it with the 20,000 employee overhead and everything else we've got going on at Ubisoft proper. So it's a complicated story. There were a number of headlines and stories I saw that kind of missed the mark a little bit on what's happening here. But that's fair. I don't really criticize on that because Bloomberg didn't really say what's happening here. They mostly waved their hands at what Ubisoft was describing as well. So nobody quite knows, except it's clear that it's another effort to try to, I think, maintain control for the family while giving investors a different landing spot for their money because there aren't enough bites on the line at old Ubisoft. That appears to be the takeaway from this is that they have been trying to get money into that entity and it's not coming. And part of that's 2025. Part of that is a general reticence for all sorts of investors to invest in a lot of companies, but certainly video game companies. And we've seen that. That's part of the reason that we're seeing layoffs. It's part of the reason we're seeing contraction is money is not moving with the same amount of velocity that we saw in the tech space and in the video game space really recently, honestly, even post-pandemic. So things are very slow right now. Ubisoft continues to be flailing and desperate. That's clear. Assassin's Creed Shadows needs to absolutely set the record books aflame to save Ubisoft. And it's not going to do that. There's going to be a contraction at Ubisoft. Even if they were to spin it off in the way that is described in not so great detail in the Bloomberg article, it's not going to save all these jobs. Like we've talked about the fact that Ubisoft is too big for what it produces anyway. That's going to continue to be the case. So, unfortunately, we are looking at one of the major publishers in gaming at bare minimum contracting. And if they get a spinoff and they get more money in that spinoff, it could be a relatively soft, controlled landing. If they don't, it will be anything but.
Agreed. Yeah, that's a lot of people that are going to be impacted. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and that's going to happen. And that's a sad part of the story. That's management, right? That's not on the people making the games. They did their best. We got great things like Prince of Persia Lost Crown, which I think is a PlayStation Plus game this month.
It is. You know what else is?
No, what else? Oh, Veilguard.
Well, Veilguard's the biggest one for sure. But you know what else is?
No.
Bang on balls. Get out there, play your PlayStation Plus, sign up for premium if you have to.
I gotta
Bang
tell
on
you,
balls is
now
there.
now we see why they're in trouble. I get
this
it.
never gelled with me as much as it did with Ains, but go enjoy.
Enjoy it. It's fantastic. Carry on, Hogue. I'm sorry. I interrupted your train.
Oh, not at all. I finished.
All right.
I think Ubisoft is going to face a major recalibration. How that looks is going to be up to the people with money in the next 6 months.
Yeah, I think this is we talk about all sorts of different situations in the industry with layoffs, restructures, all these things. It's been a constant topic. I think this one's going to be pretty ugly. It feels like it's going to impact a lot of people. And it feels, to your point, Hogue, as it most readily is, the onus is really on really poor decision-making and executive leadership decisions. And here we are. And it's going to be a shame. It's going to be, yeah, it's going to be hard to watch, I think, a little bit, but I obviously hope for the best for everyone. And I'm most interested to see really where this ends up, because this has been a saga for Ubisoft for years now. This isn't just recent,
Well, and you can go back to Vivendi, right? I mean, like Ubisoft has been in the midst of a corporate takeover / disaster explosion for as long as I can think of them.
Right, exactly. So we have AC Shadows coming out literally next week we speak.
Next week. Already pre-ordered and loaded up. Let's go.
Oh, yeah.
I'm
Love
not
it.
Alex. I can't play it right now, but I'm ready to play it when it comes out.
Yeah, so we obviously can't talk about it just yet, but it's going to be a big game. Whether it's going to be, we've said many times, as big as Ubisoft hopes it is, who knows? But we'll see. Travis, anything to add on this before we kind of wrap the topic up?
Sure hope Shadows does well.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, boys, I think we got a Googleman super chat to get to. Boom.
Googleman, €5 super chat. Where does the Assassin's Creed franchise go after Shadows? It's the pinnacle fans have been asking for forever. That's true.
That
This
is
true. This will be a day long remembered.
Well, they have several AC projects in the works, right? So they have Hex, which is the kind of witchy one, supposedly, right?
The witchy one, yep.
The witchy one. They have
Maybe
Jade.
they'll do another VR game.
Well, they have Jade, which is the China one, right?
Yep.
So they have a couple in the works, but yeah, I mean, this is the big one, the one that people have been waiting for.
Yeah, well, I still would have done an Antiquity trilogy. They did Greece, they did Egypt. I would have done Rome. I think Rome is still sitting out there.
Og, speaking my language. As one of the many men who thinks of the Roman Empire daily, apparently. I found out I was part of a club recently. Did not know that.
There you go.
My son-in-law is like that. He was talking about that, like the men that think of Rome daily, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, no, I think of Rome daily and annoy friends with facts about ancient Rome, and then like that meme popped up where it was like, did you know like a lot of guys think about Rome all the time? And I was like, oh no, I'm one of those guys. Like for sure, guilty as charged. I think about ancient Rome all the time. So yeah, it's unfortunate, but yes, I agree with you, Hogue. They should have done Rome. It was right there. It was right there. I mean, talk about the ultimate Templar setting. Jeez, dude.
Yeah,
it is.
I was gonna say. Yeah, I was going to say I want Assassin's Creed to partner with Fast and Furious, but I don't think anyone else would be on board with that personally. So.
Let's do it, dude. I'm down.
Yeah. All right. Googleman, thank you as always for the support, my friend. Boys, I hate to say it. Less than 2 hour show again. our fans are going to be upset. We actually got comments last week that a less than 2 hour show is criminal and should not be accepted from us.
Well,
So,
you know, we can set some super chat goals if you guys want to make it longer, but you're killing us. We're doing our best.
I will counter comment that this show should never be longer than 2 hours because you've seen what happens to me after like 90 minutes. All right, unless you want me to really monologue, I mean, I think this is a good length. That's what she said.
Yeah, you are. Yeah.
Did you do that's what she said to yourself?
I did. Yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah.
We have so a couple of other things to mention. Obviously, AC Shadows we talked about comes out this week. The embargo is Tuesday, so you'll see all the reviews pop up Tuesday and coverage. We will have a lot to say about that. Alex will, of course, and you know, we'll cover it next week.
Are you guys reviewing Xenoblade X? Or no?
We are not.
God damn it! Can we talk about that? Can that be the final topic? The Xenoblade Chronicles X email.
I
don't know what happened. No,
yeah, you do. Ains, so you got the email too. The email about the tips on reviewing the Xenoblade Chronicles X.
Oh, right.
I don't know
they
if you know
left
about
it
this
as a comment on Bitcast last week.
I know, it's so funny. There's some guy.
Let me see if I can find it.
Oh, do you know anything about this?
I'm out of the loop.
Okay, so
you describe it, Travis. I'll try and find it.
Okay, awesome. I have it in my email. So last week or earlier this week, however you want to look at it, the games industry, a lot of people who work in the games industry received an email from somebody who we do not know. They're not somebody in the industry, presumably. It's like a random Gmail account, and it was tips on reviewing or an upcoming review, and it is a super long 1,000+ word manifesto from a random person giving advice on how to review Xenoblade Chronicles X Remaster.
Like you'll do it wrong and it'll get too low a score?
Exactly. It is like from a super fan, because I don't know if you guys know this, but the anime fandom who play video games are the most toxic group of people you will ever encounter. Every time I review a JRPG, the comments are always from like the most toxic people in the world. Anyway, this person then goes on to state all of their opinions of what a review should be and gives specific advice on things to say and things to not say about the game. And it made me laugh. I read it and was like,
I got it right here. I got it.
Yeah.
There you go.
You want to read the names?
I'm not reading it.
Oh, look
absolutely
at that.
Not.
It is very funny. It says things like, be careful with wrong statements such as no connection with the rest of the franchise. This does not match with what's said by developers in interviews around the time of one definitive edition. Instead, just say you don't need to play other games to play and understand this one, which can also be said. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's just a whole bunch of like just opinions that this guy has. And it was very funny. So apparently this is a comment left on a video last week. This person sent it to my email directly. They sent it to other people in the industry who I know's email. My editors got it. I don't know how this person found everybody's email address, but they
literally
just
everybody
sent out a massive BCC to just everybody in the world. And it is a very amusing thing to think you can do. I will not be listening to any of this advice if I were reviewing Xenoblade Chronicles X.
Travis, we know how you operate. You would do the exact opposite of this just to prove a point.
I don't know that I would impugn my own reviews just to get back at somebody, but certainly if I felt differently than this person, I would go out of my way to highlight that in a review, just to show this guy that he's a little bit of a...
Destin said he's taking notes and doesn't want to get it wrong. So this will help.
Yeah, you don't want to get the review wrong with all of the really like, dude. Oh, you have to read this, man. It is so funny. It is so funny. I'm glad we got to talk about this because I know it's not news, but it made me laugh a great deal.
Well, the funny thing is, I obviously respond to all our Bitcast comments, right? And so I'm going through last week and catching up, and I see this like book, and I'm like, oh my God, someone left us a gigantic comment. And I start reading it, and I'm like, what is this? Like, what?
It is a manifesto, Ames. That's what it is. It's a manifesto. You don't have to listen to people. Reviews are opinions. You can have your own opinions. If somebody tells you that there are opinions that are wrong, I tell you that you can get a lot of joy out of just telling them that you have the opposite opinion of them. It's very fun.
Yeah, crazy.
Very fun.
I'm glad you remembered that, though. I totally forgot. I didn't even remember that happened this week.
Yeah.
So yeah,
All I wanted to know is whether they were reviewing it, because that also comes out this week, and I'm excited
They
about it.
Yeah, I don't think IGN's reviewing it at all. I kind of after getting
What?
the email, I don't think so. We don't really review remasters, just in general. They're pretty rare for us. So yeah.
we're not. We do have a few other reviews I can't talk about in the works. A lot of coverage happening as we speak, but not this one. It's a shame. I had some really good advice someone emailed me we could have used too for the review, and I won't even get to put it in.
I thought it was going to be tips on how to play or something. It's like, don't think these thoughts; those are wrong thoughts. It's like, what?
Yeah, it's a very funny thing. It's literally just like, hey, and it's very snarky. Like the more you read of it, Hogue, it's like, by the way, if you ever say anything about the performance, then this is hypocritical because media people love the performance in Tears of the Kingdom, and just like it gets very aggressive. It's like, all right, dude. Clearly don't know how reviews work, but that's fine.
It's funny because it's like you want to read it and think someone's just having a laugh, but then you start to think, no, there's someone that really thinks this way and really wanted to tell people this. And it's like, man, what does that person's daily life look like? What's their daily routine, going on? It's kind of creepy. We had a poll up around the Xbox branded portable device on the SG side. So we ended with pretty even across the three. So about 30% say they will definitely buy an Xbox branded portable device. Another 35% say they might be in. Obviously, probably need to see more, right? Need to see what it offers and how much it is. And another 38% no, they won't buy it. So that's probably it's probably what you would expect in that type of poll. You know what I mean? About a third to a half of people are interested. How many actually buy it, we'll see. One game I did forget to mention, I want to mention real quick. I've talked about this game before, but it had the latest update, and I love this game. It's unique, and people should check it out. Is Witchfire. So Witchfire is that kind of like roguelite, Souls-ish FPS that's like gothic as well. It's a very unique kind of mix of things. I did an early access review on it last year. You can still find that on the channel if you want to check it out or see some footage. But it had the latest update. They added a new region. They continued to update things more. Small little team called the Astronauts making that game, but very talented, a very fun, polished game for what it is now, and very unique. So just wanted to call that out. Check it out. It's on Epic and Steam nowadays, Witchfire, and it might be on sale right now. I haven't even looked in the Steam spring sale. So if you like that if that sounds interesting to you,
well, let's look. I can do that.
Yeah. Not your type of game, Hogue, but it's a cool one. It's very interesting. It gives you how sometimes you play and Travis, you may get this more than Hogue, but you play like when you used to play Souls games or those types of games, they just have a feeling about them where you're in that world. Like you feel like you're in that world, and it's kind of very unique. Witchfire has that. Like you feel like you're in a different place. It's very creepy and gothic and cryptic. Like you have to figure things out and kind of uncover things. It's really, really good. So recommend it.
I'm in one of those worlds right now, except for it's not good. Very fun.
San Francisco?
No, the game I'm playing.
Nice.
I see. It is on sale, but it's 10% off. So.
Oh, okay. So what's it? Is it normally 40?
It is normally 40. Right now it is 36.
Okay.
It also says it's early access still. So.
It is. It's on like 0.5 or something like that. I don't know. They've had several big updates, but they're not at 1.0 yet. It will come to consoles eventually as well once they hit 1.0. So anyway, I don't have too much to call out. Like I said, we've already talked about Shadows. We've already talked about other reviews we can't talk about. The only other thing I was going to say is hope you're enjoying the show. Same thing. Leave us a comment. Share it out. We'll continue to have these great conversations. So thank you, chat, as always. But Hogue, I'll pass it to you first this week.
Yes, I unfortunately this week had a bit of a bug, and so I was not able to join the video commentariat as often as I usually do, and so I have not any videos right now to pitch or to tell people about that appeared on the channel this last week. But I do have a number of topics that I want to talk about in virtual legality or Hangouts and Headlines. The media has once again decided to impugn the entire nature of legal and other commentary in the YouTube and commentator space. So that might be a Hangouts and Headlines this week. I want to talk more about Savvy in Saudi Arabia and Pokemon. That might be a virtual legality this week. Or neither might appear on the channel this week. So, we'll butt on each other. I'll see you there or I won't. And thank you for joining me for this episode of the Bitcast. I don't know what to say.
There you go. All right. Thank you, Hogue. By the way, we did get a late super chat when we were joking about the show being under 2 hours. He's trying to extend us. Here's our good friend Machine, regular viewer, asked this question of us.
Machine XP, $5 super chat. What game genres would we like to see get combined? 2 question marks. So you have to give him 2 answers, presumably.
Well, funny enough, all jokes aside, that was a perfect segue because Witchfire is one of those games. It's an FPS that is also a roguelite, that is also a kind of cryptic Souls-like, kind of all combined into one experience, and it shockingly works very well. It takes a little bit to figure out, because it's cryptic. It doesn't tell you explicitly how to do things. You kind of figure them out and discover on your own. And there's hidden mechanics in the game too that you just discover while playing. And but once you get over that initial curve in these games, right? And I started to discover things and get further and unlock stuff. The loop, very, very addicting. So I have an easy answer for that one.
I tell you what,
Very
Machine
cool.
XP. First of all, I want to thank you for taking me up on my statement that you can always super chat if you want to see the show extended. I appreciate people listening to me. So I want to say thank you to that. Secondly, I want to tell you a story. I want to tell you a story about a
Is that about Xenoblade X?
A TurboGrafx 16 game called Final Lap Twin. And this game was a fairly standard racing game in which you take your Indy cars around tracks and race each other. But it was also a Pokemon-esque RPG where you would travel the world, getting improvements to your car and your car engine, and challenging people to races to earn experience and money and make your way through this world. I would like to see simplified RPGs like the 16-bit era brought in and using more of other genres like sports, like racing, to engage with in the world, because it doesn't require combat to make an RPG work. It doesn't require turn-based or action combat. You can really use that framework for anything that you want to do. I would love to see a roguelike deck builder in a world like a Pokemon or a Final Lap Twin that you engage with. I think you can do a lot with this approach. And I am sad to say that I really haven't seen anybody try that since Final Lap.
I want to give you credit, Hogue, because you have a memory for these types of games that astounds me, because I grew up with all these same games and they're very obscure nowadays. But you pull games out like this that I have not thought about in 30 years.
Meanwhile,
so, well done,
meanwhile, I had to Google one of the games I reviewed last year because to answer this question just now, I was thinking about how I wish more games had tower defense mechanics, because I think tower defense games are cool, but games that are just tower defense don't often get a lot of traction, and so I like games that incorporate them. And I was thinking of a game I reviewed last year that I don't think got a lot of attention called Outpost Infinity Siege, which was like a FPS real-time strategy tower defense game with like exploration roguelite kind of mechanics. Very weird game. And not everything it tried was like amazing, but I had fun with it. And it got me thinking, I would like more games to have tower defense mechanics.
Play Kunitsugami, people. Kunitsugami. Fantastic. Lots of tower defense elements.
Yeah.
Nice. I went over and got this real quick because, Hogue, you made me think of TurboGrafx 16, which I talked, I think, last year about this Polymega kind of console set where they're like recreating these modules. This is the TurboGrafx module. I haven't even opened it.
I was going to say, it doesn't look well loved.
So, but you can. The nice thing, right? It plays all the games. You could buy like Final Lap Twin, put it in that, and play it as if as if you were sitting at home with your TurboGrafx, which
I didn't know you were a poly mega. That's cool. Good for you.
Anyway, you got more than your money's worth there, Machine XV. So thank you for the late super chat, my friend. I appreciate it. All right, Travis, anything you want to shout out? I know you kind of said that there's an awful lot you can't talk about, but anything you want to call out?
I'm so excited to talk about all the stuff I'm playing and seeing. That's all I got.
Awesome.
Yeah.
There you go. Short and sweet.
That's all I got.
All right. Well, we've got a big week ahead. Like we said, we got Shadows releasing here in a couple days. We've got a lot of stuff we can talk about next week, more wise, with games, more wise, whatever that means. So it'll be another good conversation. But chat, as always, thank you for hanging out with us. Thank you for the conversation. Enjoy your games, and we will see you next Sunday, same time, same
DDC!
place. Until then, peace.